Welcome, everybody. My name is Daniel Tisdale, and I am a sales engineer here at Bigeye. Looking forward to kind of walking you all through our platform. And this is a monthly webinar. We do this once a month, so happy and excited for um, giving everyone here a kind of a quick run through and rundown of who Big Eye is, what we do, and really kind of wanted to just go through a few quick slides, and then from there we will jump in and do a quick high level demo, and save a few minutes at the end for some questions. So really wanted to kind of start out, just more kind of on the education side. So Big Eye really helps, create trust in everything you build with data. So our platform, we're a data observability platform. We really enable data engineers, analysts, any sort of data stewards to collaborate on keeping all of your data fresh, accurate, and trustworthy. So, for those of you all who aren't familiar with what data observability is, data observability is real time visibility into the behavior of your entire data estate, from the origin of the data through your pipelines into destinations like business intelligence platforms such as Tableau, Power BI, Snowflake, machine learning models and systems, as well as AI applications, which obviously is a big hot topic now. So I'm going to run through a few benefits of a data observability platform, a few components that make up uh, the umbrella of data observability. So few benefits. Data observability platforms really help identify the unknown unknowns. And what that really means is, helping to detect errors, even if they have never been seen before. Helping identify, and quantify what the business impact is. Increased visibility, really speeds up the resolution time for any incidents or outages that occur as a result of a data outage, data pipeline issue. Efficiency, so helping with faster deployment, less maintenance, than data quality. And then the fourth pillar is all around trust, and trust is really a key um, just overarching theme of data observability, Big Eye in general. So helping to detect and resolve issues ultimately before any key stakeholders do. And then on the component side, there's really four kind of main components to a data observability platform. A data lineage. So what path does the data take through your systems? We'll see an example of a data lineage graph in the demonstration. Data pipeline monitoring, and that really means, is data flowing on time from a scheduling perspective and then in the right amount? So if the pipelines are running, are we getting data that is the amount of data, is that correct? And then data quality monitoring, is the data fit for purpose? So completeness, uniqueness, validity. So these would be things like, duplicate checks, null checks, any sort of numeric distributions. And then the last component, which you will see throughout the demonstration as well, is anomaly detection. So can alerts be automatically determined based on kind of the historical shape and patterns of your data? So this is really kind of highlighting, the different areas of an overall data ecosystem that Big Eye is able to, help from a monitoring and observability perspective. We can monitor databases, both cloud as well as we have numerous connectors into legacy on-prem systems. You can see a few examples here, SQL Server, Oracle, the transformation side of things. So any sort of ETL tool, Azure Data Factory, dbt, Matillion, SSIS, many more that I haven't mentioned. We've got capabilities to monitor any of those ETL processes and jobs, warehouses, Snowflake, Databricks, Azure, Google BigQuery, and then again on the analytics side, so the front end facing dashboards, Tableau, Power BI, Looker, and Bigeye really helps kind of span that entire flow of data so that you have a great sense of visibility and understanding of where there are potential issues that are being introduced as a result. Now, when we talk about being able to actually measure the ROI that a customer is able to get from leveraging and implementing the Big Eye platform, some of the key um, KPIs and metrics that our customers are really able to um, improve over time, really within the first 6 months of leveraging Big Eye would be, the amount of hours saved by automating, all of these checks that are historically have been done manually. um, Mean time to resolution, you can see around a 65% reduction in the time that it takes for a data engineer or anyone involved to actually resolve issues going forward, as well as just giving you more visibility into how many issues are detected, and actually increasing the trust from business users, because they're now feeling confident that they're able to um, actually make accurate business decisions based off of their dashboards. And just know that you're in very good company. So Big Eye, we're typically primarily focused on large enterprise customers. So enterprise data teams around the world, choose Big Eye to run their businesses on their trusted data. Few names to call out, USAA from a financial services, insurance side of things, Cisco, Canva, Hertz, Zoom, Kenvue, Magellan Health. So we span all industries, and really kind of help um, the largest of the large organizations around the world. One of Big Eye's kind of unique value propositions is the breadth and just kind of wide range of connectors that we have available for some of those legacy on-prem systems, which a lot of times enterprise companies are still leveraging some of that legacy technology. Awesome. So with that said, I would love to kind of jump in and start to kind of walk through a high level demonstration of the Big Eye platform, and then we can save a few minutes at the end for some questions. So let me go ahead, share my screen out here. So where I wanted to start with today is actually in one of those BI tools. So in this case, we're looking at a Tableau dashboard. And one of the key features that Big Eye has for a business stakeholder, a business analyst, anyone who is wanting to quickly and easily understand, can I trust the data that's being displayed on this dashboard, is our browser extension. And I'll get to that in a brief moment. But one of the key points I wanted to highlight is just by me looking at this dashboard, I don't necessarily have any way to know, is the data that's feeding into it high quality? Are there any sort of issues with the data? Is the data fresh? Is it stale? Are there missing values? I just have to kind of take the data for face value based off of what's displayed on this dashboard here. Now, what I can do is I can click on this Bigeye browser extension, and that is going to pull up some key insights and metrics related to the dashboard itself. So we'll give this a minute to load here. And the way that we're able to do this while this is loading and being pulled up is switch to sharing my screen here. Okay, perfect. So how we're able to, actually be able to kind of collect and capture all of the information that is powering this browser extension is through our lineage capabilities. So what we're looking at first at the top of this browser extension is a health section. This health section gives us two key percentages that really help us kind of understand, okay, what's the health of the dashboard? Can I trust, the data that's being displayed on the dashboard? So the first one up at the top, monitoring deployed, so 100%. So that's great. So what that means is we have some level of Bigeye metric that has been deployed on every single one of the columns that is ultimately feeding into this dashboard here. So that could be, the layer directly before it's loaded into Tableau, or that could be, a source system like an Oracle or a SQL Server. So we have some level of monitoring on every single object. And then from a metric health perspective, we have deployed a total of 47 metrics. Only 34 of those are healthy. So that's telling me that, hey, we've got 13 metrics that are in some sort of alerting state. Those have generated issues. We have integrations into, ticketing systems. So this can be automatically sent out to, a Jira, a ServiceNow, as well as integrations into Slack, Teams, PagerDuty, any sort of email distribution process or list, as well as webhooks. So I would say by me just looking at this dashboard, seeing that there's a number of metrics that are unhealthy, I would probably not feel super confident in being able to make accurate decisions off of this dashboard. So again, it's a real quick, easy touch point for anyone who is looking at the dashboard to be able to know whether or not they can feel comfortable presenting on this data. And as I scroll down here, I can see some additional details around the details of those data quality issues. So the data, this is telling me that there's some unexpected duplicate values, as well as unexpected value distributions of the data itself. And then down here under issue details, this is where we see the breakdown of both pipeline and quality issues. So pipeline issues, these are going to be making sure that the pipeline itself is running, meaning did the data load on those scheduled loads that we're expecting, as well as if the data pipeline did run, is the amount of data, is the number of records that were loaded in, similar and kind of within acceptable range compared to all of the previous historical runs of that pipeline. And then quality here, where we've got the bulk of our issues, these would be things like, duplicate checks, null checks, average min max, values and lists, anything that is tied directly to the actual quality of the values inside of individual columns. And these are links that I could click on. I could click on quality here. That would take me into kind of the full list of data quality issues that are tied to that section. But from this page, what I'm going to do is kind of jump into the lineage view, which is another big component of Bigeye, which is going to allow me to easily and quickly see, the flow of data end to end. So what we're looking at here is that same critical dashboard we were just looking at in Tableau, and looking and really trying to understand, okay, we understand there's some data quality issues. That dashboard's tagged as at risk. Where are those issues occurring so that we can identify those issues and ultimately fix those issues as fast as possible. So if I start to work right to left, I can see that that dashboard is being populated by this table called sales dashboard in a Snowflake warehouse. We've got 4 columns feeding into that dashboard. One of those columns, price per unit, that's got a data quality issue here. And if I highlight over that column, we can see that that also has an issue at the layer above our replication layer of Snowflake. This is a set of informatic Power Center ETL jobs. And if we go all the way upstream to Oracle, we can see that price per unit column is highlighted in that light shade of red, signifying that's the root cause issue, meaning this is the place that we would want to ultimately resolve or fix that data quality issue so that same issue is not kind of propagating down each layer as we are creating new transformations, adding new data, building new pipelines. We can see, on the other hand, that quantity here, this column was fine in Oracle. That issue was first introduced after going through this set of ETL jobs. So it really is helpful, from the perspective of letting you know where these issues are first being introduced. You can focus on fixing those issues as fast as possible. Now, if I want to drill into this price per unit issue, I can click on this link here, and this is telling me that we have one open issue. This issue is telling me that the minimum value is too low on price per unit. So when I click into the details of that issue, I can see first up at the top, this description. This is a generative AI description that is summarizing all of the details that we have around that specific issue. So it's telling me, what that value is currently set to. So right now it's dropped all the way to 0. I can also see that on this time series based chart. That gray band that's shifting a little bit, that is the machine learning anomaly detection. And so everything was good, was within an acceptable range up until the last time that metric ran. That observed value was lower than the lower bound, which has now generated this issue for us. So it's telling me, again, where that issue was identified. It's also telling me that the root cause of the issue isn't at this layer of Snowflake. It's actually in our Oracle warehouse. And that issue could be potentially due to some complex filtering logic in one of our DBT ETL jobs. We're also able to see kind of the downstream business impact. So there's multiple Tableau dashboards that were impacted, so we can understand the blast radius of that impact. And then it's also giving us some potential recommended resolution steps as a result. I can click this right-hand pane, open. I can also see some additional details, how many reports are affected. We can see, again, the root cause was due to that price per unit column in Oracle. And I can even, again, have tickets in external systems automatically created. So this created a Jira ticket for me. So now I've got all of the context that I need to really kind of understand the details of this issue. And so from here, I can click on the Resolve tab. And this Resolve tab is going to first surface up a number of suggested resolutions for me. So this is another feature under what we call Bigeye in Bigeye. So leveraging some generative AI to look at all of the context that we have on the issue and give you a number of suggested resolutions or steps that you can take to potentially resolve this issue. So once I've gone through and kind of implemented any of these suggested resolutions here, I can mark whether that worked or that didn't work, so that in the future, I've got context on, what were the steps that we took if there's a similar related issue on this column or on this table. I'm also able to see under this data diagnosis section what's called a debug query. And a debug query is super helpful because it gives me just the affected rows or records that are responsible for that issue alerting in the first place. So this will show me all of the records that are below that lower bound threshold. I can copy this to my clipboard, take that into Snowflake, Databricks, SQL Server, Oracle, wherever that's occurring, whatever database. I could also download those rows. This is a setting you can turn off for certain users for data privacy concerns. Nothing is stored inside of Bigeye. These are just displayed in the browser cache here, so I can see all those rows and records. And then down here, this is where I can also see the ETL code. So we're leveraging DBT in this example. And this is telling me that due to some using some uh, an or condition in the where clause, that could potentially be incorrectly filtering some of the data out, which could be responsible for this price per unit issue in the first place. And then down here under related issues summary, this is where I can see any previously related issues, related to that specific column. What were the steps that we took? So that can be helpful again with kind of speeding up the time to resolve any of those issues there. Awesome. So now we've kind of walked through, the full resolution process as far as, okay, what are the things that we can do to help identify and surface up all the details around the issue itself. And then layering on top of that, how can we actually resolve this specific data quality issue? The last piece kind of around some of the generative AI functionality that I wanted to highlight was also this preventions section. So this is showing me that for this table, where we do have 7 issues open, there's 4 preventative actions that I could potentially take. So not only do we give you suggested resolutions, but we give you options and steps that you can take to actually prevent this same type of issue from occurring again in the future. So this is going to surface up, again, leveraging some generative AI, suggested preventative actions. Once I've implemented any of these, I could mark these off, and that way I can know, what was something that I had done to potentially harden or improve, this ETL code here. Awesome. So we've kind of walked through, what are some of the helpful tooling for the business analyst with the browser extension here, the lineage piece. Once we've identified that there are a number of issues, how do we go and resolve those issues as well as prevent them? Last thing I wanted to kind of touch on is, well, how did we get here in the first place? How do we create these metrics? So I can go over to the catalog here. This is going to list out all of our connected data sources, and I'm going to drill into Snowflake. This will show all of the schemas we have access to. And let's say we want to go to our orders table and build a new metric. So it's very easy, very straightforward to add a new metric. I can click on add monitoring, and this will kind of take me through and walk me through how to build a new metric. So from here, I have a few different options on how to deploy metrics. Auto metrics is a nice way if you're not entirely sure what type of metric you want to start with. It'll suggest metrics for you based off of the data types in the columns. But to access all of the metrics, I can click on all metrics here, and that's going to pull up the list of around 70 or so out of the box metrics that we have available for you to leverage, as well as any custom metrics. So you can always build custom business logic to be able to kind of satisfy anything that is outside of kind of a standard check. And so this will kind of pull up the full list of metrics that we have available. We've got detailed documentation on each one of these metrics here. And I'm going to just deploy, let's say we want to do a duplicate check metric. So I can click duplicates here. Then I'm going to be presented with the columns that I can deploy that metric on. So I'm going to say, let's make sure we have no duplicate order IDs in this table. I can click that column. And then this screen allows me to kind of configure that metric. So most customers, they leverage the auto thresholds. That's the machine learning anomaly detection. And you can see here that we're leveraging 21 days of historical data to really help generate those initial starting thresholds for what is considered an anomaly or not. So once I'm comfortable with the configuration, I can do two things before deploying this metric. One, assign an owner to the metric, so it defaults to whoever's creating it, so myself in this case. And then a collection would allow me to group similar types of metrics into almost like a folder structure. So I could say if this metric is related to one of our critical sales dashboards, we want that to, alert a certain individual via email or a certain Slack channel or a Teams channel, um, and automatically, create a ticket. So it's one way to be able to define how any sort of notifications go out, what the triage process is for that. And then I just click deploy, and that'll go and initiate the actual deployment of the metric itself. So pretty straightforward, real easy process, to be able to start building, automated data quality metrics and checks on your various data sources. And with that, that kind of concludes the walkthrough of the demonstration. Wanted to make sure that saved a few minutes for any questions that might have come up from anyone on the stream, and then we can wrap up from there. One of the questions that I'll highlight, that just a commonly asked question is, all around security. We're SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, ISO 27001. So we take security very, very seriously. We work with, again, some of the largest, banks, healthcare customers, in the world. So we have all of kind of the relevant certifications to make sure that there's not going to be any sort of issues with your data as a result of leveraging kind of Bigeye's um, you know monitoring and observability platform for that. And we do have a pretty robust range of integrations and connectors that anyone can take a look at on our website to be able to kind of understand, based on your data sources, um, what are the options that we have for being able to connect to those systems. I will share a link here in the chat that gives you all a link to our integrations. So real easy to see what are the options that we have there. And then another common question is, what is the best way to kind of get in contact with Bigeye? So there is on our webpage, and let me just share this out real quick. So talking back on the integration, so bigeye.com, if you just go to integrations, that'll pull up that kind of full list of integrations. This list is um, always growing. So still reach out to us if you don't see a direct integration for a system you're wanting to connect. And then if you see this get a demo button, you can click on get a demo, fill out your contact information, and we'd be more than happy to give you a more detailed kind of customized product walkthrough on how Bigeye could help your organization there. So with that said, I will stop sharing and leave a minute or two left for any last minute outstanding questions that anyone on this stream has. Really appreciate everyone taking the time to come on and learn a little bit about Bigeye. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their Tuesday. Hi, Raman. Thank you so much for joining the stream. If you have any follow-up questions, just feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to take a deeper dive with you. Doing great, doing great. Thank you so much. Awesome. Well, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Thanks again, everyone, for jumping on. Really appreciate it.